Om Shanti. Am I audible to all?
Yes, Didi.
All right. Thank you. A very good evening to all our participants of SiT retreat. We are back once again with yet another refreshing topic, that is the transformative power of love. And as you all know that it is the Ganesh festival going on now in India, which is being celebrated in a very grand way. Each year we invoke God Ganesha and we invoke all the divine powers. We seek powers from Lord Ganesha. As you all know, the image is just symbolic and it has a lot of meaning and relevance, which eventually in the session we will understand, maybe from Sister Jenna. And before that, as you all know that every task or every work starts with the worship of Lord Ganesha, as he is remembered as the remover of obstacles in the way ahead. So today we shall start our session with few minutes of invoking the divinity within us and invoking the powers of Lord Ganesha into this environment. Let's have the video, lovely friend.
गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीकनयाय धीमहि सजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय गणनायकाय गणदैवताय गणाध्यक्षाय धीमहि गुणशरीराय गुणमण्डिताय गुणेशानाय धीमहि गुणातीताय गुणाधीशाय गुणप्रविष्टाय धीमहि एकदन्ताय वक्रतुण्डाय गौरीकनयाय धीमहि सजेशानाय भालचन्द्राय
So I'm sure all of you have brought this energy into this room of Lord Ganesha. And today, to drive us through this session, we have Sister Jenna with us. Welcome, Sister Jenna. Sister Jenna,
welcome.
I know that it's early morning time. Good morning to you.
Good evening to you and Om Shanti.
Thank you. So Sister Jenna is an acclaimed, trusted spiritual mentor committed to bridging divides in society and building relationships between global influencers. She has impacted lives around the globe, inspiring change and finding solutions to current day crisis as the founder and director of the Brahma Kumaris Meditation Museum, located in the metropolitan Washington, D.C. area. Sister Jenna is also the host of the popular America Meditating radio show. She is the recipient of the President's Lifetime National Community Service Award. She is also a member of the Evolutionary Leaders Circle, a group of thought leaders from diverse disciplines in service to conscious evolution, and she was selected by Empower a Billion Women 2020 as one of 100 most influential leaders of 2015. So thank you, Sister, for joining us. On a personal note, Sister Jenna is one of the most dynamic personality in the Brahma Kumaris whom I have met, and she has inspired me in many ways. Very fortunate to have you with us this evening. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Shivani Ben. You are an inspiration. You are a total inspiration. Your energy, your determination, your enthusiasm, your forthrightedness, I know that's keeping a lot of people going. So thanks for having me. And I'm glad that we landed on this day, everyone. Om Shanti. This is 9/11 in the United States of America. I mean, this is a day that Americans are wondering what happened. I think it was almost over 15 years ago, and are trying to move on, or maybe they have moved on. One of the things that I've learned with the American mindset, and maybe it's a common theme in every culture, we forget. We forget things easily, and we have a way of just moving forward. So today, there are a lot of ceremonies and activities and events taking place. They will be taking place at Ground Zero in New York City and at different places to honor the lives that were lost, including the firefighters and everybody who played a part. And they've now erected another structure which is a little bit taller than the World Trade Center now. And it's a beautiful, beautiful structure, but it has a real tall peak. So when you go there now, you can see the memorial of the names of the people lost, and it's very surreal. It's very surreal. That was a day we wish Lord Ganesha was there to have actually distracted that obstacle from coming into the mindset of the Americans, but also the way it changed the whole world. Huh? I mean, what does it take somebody to think from that place, you know, where somehow, some way, the soul starts to feel that a particular culture or country or religion or group of people, that they're not important, they're not valuable. And look in your own family. Is there anybody in your family that you've pushed aside? You know, where you feel, I don't like them, I don't want to really talk with them. Is there anybody at work? I know that most of us are doing so much remote working. I don't know what it's like now in India, but there are people in the workplace that you don't feel that love for them, that respect for them, and kind of push them aside or only deal with them if you have to. You know, where does that mentality come from, where we talk a lot about the powerful, transformative energy of love, and we all have love. If you have children, you know what love feels like. If you have a parent, you know what love feels like. If you have a spouse, hopefully you're getting along. You know what that feels like. Or friends. You know what love feels like when you've got friends. It motivates you. It makes you feel safe. It opens you up to more and to possibilities. It brings a great deal of courage and strength and determination. But one of the things that I've been investigating about love is that when you use it, it supports an element of power that you have inside of you. Did you know that majority of your decisions are connected to where you identify or interpret your sense of power? For example, if I identify myself solely as a woman, then a lot of the choices that I make is to empower my image or my understanding of myself as a woman. Similarly as a man. Similarly with my titles that I own, or my religion, culture, language, that a lot of the decisions that we make is connected to a sense of a power that I hold in myself that I might just love, that I love being a woman, I love being a man, I love being a doctor, I love being an IT professional. Or do I not? And if I don't, then what are the choices that I'm making that's connected to that understanding. This whole concept of love is something I'm really thinking a lot about. I had an interview with a man who talks a lot about unconditional love, and as he was telling me all these great things about love and the energy of love, I said, but then why is there still so much hate in the world, so much dislike, so much arrogance, so much you're not better than me and I'm going to be better than you, or I'll never forgive you for what you did. Where's the love when those thoughts come into your consciousness? What happens to that love? And love is such a great power. Everybody has the energy of love recorded in their consciousness. Remember the day you landed your first job in your IT firm? How much you loved that opportunity, that you got the job, and then you started to think about all of your loved ones and the things you loved. Whether you loved your parents, so now you can give them money, whether it was your spouse or just your own future, you loved the possibility of what this job was going to offer you. And then after maybe a year, you're settling in, and maybe it's not as challenging as you thought it was at the beginning. And then you start to complain about this worker, you started to complain about the manager. How many times we hear the story of some managers are just such poor managers, they're not good. Oh, they're the worst manager. They don't even know the program. And as we make those choices to speak those words with feelings to other people, we're not aware of the recording it's creating in the soul, which might be moving me away from the love that I felt when I first got into my job at an IT company. It slips. It slips. And it's not until it gets really rough and you start to feel like, I don't like this job, I'm not challenged anymore, oh, these people are like this, these people are like that. And you never look at the fact of what is it that you have to put in to that scenario to make it better. You're looking at the people, the manager, the project, none of it suits you. But do you suit you? Are you working on yourself to see if you can turn it around? The other day I was out and I've been just noticing just an energy between us which has been making me feel uncomfortable, but they're not making me uncomfortable. I am becoming uncomfortable because of their behavior. That's my choice. And as I sit with that experience inside of me, I ask the self to Jen, I go, but what does love want from this relationship? And every time I ask that question, what does love want of this relationship? My ego dies, attachment dies, expectation dies, criticism dies, judgment dies, and everything just works out just right. How many times have you been in a relationship or a situation with someone where you felt that you held your heart back? It got tight, you constricted it, you held it back from being open. How many times in a day have you done that? How many times did you do it today? It's the evening now for you all. Did you see someone that you don't love as much? Is there an assignment on your desk that is pending, that's due, that you're not feeling the love of doing it, the feeling, the bhavna to do it? Is there something troubling your beautiful mind that you somehow can't stop thinking the same thought over and over and over again? I love the topic that Shivani Ben has chosen for me because I'm working on it. I haven't reached there yet, but I'm definitely working on it. The powerful transformative force of love. Imagine what your whole team would be like if everyone decided to show up to work in that attitude. And even if somebody has a shortcoming, that you have so much love that is willing to raise them up. And we talk about these things very easily, but when we're in the situation with the person, you find how difficult it is just to change that one thought. That one thought. What does love want from me with this person? And think about it. Is there anybody in your life right now that you're finding it hard to use the energy of love on? And just for a little bit, go inside behind your eyes. Close your eyes for a little bit. Take a deep breath. And if the person emerges in your mind, ask your own self, what does love want from me in relation to this person? And listen to your answer. See if your response isn't humbling, maybe completely different than you're accustomed to relating to the person. But also just check how your mind feels, your body feels, your heart feels. It's like a clarity, like a cleanliness, an ease, like a freedom. Like life will continue for me in a very good way. You can feel it, right? Can't you feel that energy shifting in you? So whenever you find yourself bumping into a challenging moment in a relationship, just ask this question, and maybe they can be typed in the chat room for you to keep as a little footnote on your computer screen. What does love want of me from my job, from this project, from my marriage, with my mother-in-law, with my friend, manager? Just ask. And I guarantee you the choice that you make will amplify and will sustain the power that you are. I don't know fully about computers, but everyone says I'm intuitively wired to be a computer walla, or a computer genius. And it's true. I have my brother here, and he's got degrees for IT in this, and he will bring something in front of me like a computer problem, and he's going behind the computer, and I'll just say, but Santosh Bhai, just press that. And then the whole thing starts to work. And he goes, sister, you're such a genius. I go, no, I'm not. It's just right there. It's that button. And I can't tell you how many times we've had that experience that I don't have knowledge of computers. And yet, intuitively, I can be led to what's the right button to press. And you have that ability. You know the system of a machine, you know codings, you know how to develop programs, you know what those keyboards mean. Imagine a little keyboard can invent and create a program that could change the world. Isn't that fascinating to you? You sit at a desk and you type in numbers, letters, codes, and before you know it, it serves millions and millions and millions of lives. Don't you love that? Don't you love that your profession impacts the lives of millions of people just by a button? If you type in the wrong number or letter, none of the thing is going to work. Nothing will make sense. Hashtag, exclamation point, question mark, 2, 10, X, 9, underscore, upscore. I look at those numbers, I go, what in the world are you guys typing? And the next thing I know, I'm using this program on my iPhone. The person has just developed a fantastic program for me to make my life easier. Wouldn't it be amazing to be able to tap into the keyboard of your soul and understand and recognize each key as a thought process that can lead you to victory, that can take you to another level, that can help you to move towards success? Who doesn't want to be successful in life? Who doesn't want to be happy in life? Who doesn't want freedom? Everyone. But if we can just understand what the function of the keys of the mind, the thoughts of the mind do. Okay. So you look at a delete button. Delete. It's gone. But then guess what? You go into File or you go into your settings or preferences, and there's another program called Restore. That fascinates me. That you might realize, maybe I shouldn't have deleted it, I needed that. And you can go back to Restore program or Restore the last hour, and you can get what you deleted. And then determine what you might need to have extracted from that, and then either delete it again and say permanently, I don't need it anymore. Science and spirituality are going hand in hand. If science can give us a key to delete documents or programs or things or files in my system, why don't I have my own delete button spiritually? Think about it. Don't I have my own delete button? I do, right? Well, what is that delete button? Love. What does love want of me? Will delete any corrupt files or viruses that are taking energy from my system. Give it some thought again. You've got all these numbers and letters, and each have a purpose. So what if every thought that you have, you understand the impact it has on your mental programming, your physical programming, your programming in life? What if you have accepted that every thought is connected to your program? How would you start thinking as of today? What would be your choices from now on? How would you spend your time? What would you create? So let's go back to the delete button. And let's pause here for a moment. Because the delete button is, you have to love so profusely that you don't remember the corrupt files in your system. In the teachings of Raj Yoga, and what I love about the Brahma Kumaris teachings of Raj Yoga, it has given me this ability to detach my 5 senses and to become away from what I'm accustomed to seeing and hearing and believing. Just for that moment, it says just stop, pause for a little bit. I just take a moment, a break. Hibernate. hibernate your system. Take a moment. And while you're in that state of your pause or hibernating or the sleep mode on your system, where do you take your thoughts from that place? So that's where then what I've liked from Raj Yoga is it says, now that your senses are kind of in sleep mode or shut down, only the soul exists right now. The soul in its world of thoughts and its world of feelings. What happens after a while, it's like there's a little reverberation from having the five senses engaged all the time. You know, maybe you're talking, and maybe you grab a snack, and maybe you're drinking coffee, and so you shut it down. It's on hibernation or sleep, and you go into the world behind your eyes, and it takes a little time for all of that to be settled for you, and then your delete button. Maybe something happened at home with your wife or your husband before you left that day, and it's troubling you. You press your delete button and say, I don't want to go home with that same feeling, or I don't want to finish working at home and go to the dinner table with that same feeling. I need to press this delete button. And so that delete button happens when I become very aware that the energy of the soul, in order for it to stay activated, to be able to express itself to its best ability, it needs energy. It needs current. When you're tired, you're never your best. When you're stressed and frustrated and feel really awful, you say the wrong things, you do the wrong things, you feel totally out of sync with yourself, and everyone around you suffers for that. Why? Because I'm lacking sleep. I'm scared I can't meet my deadline. You start to have thoughts, if I get fired, Then you think there's always somebody waiting in line to take this job. I have to stay in. I have to make... All of those thoughts move you from love. And it feeds fear. And it creates so much separation between you and others. So this delete button that I'm talking about is your connection to Source. It's the time for this beautiful celebration in India and all over the world of Ganesh. And people want obstacles to be removed from their lives, but for whatever reason, thousands of years have passed and nobody has mastered how to remove obstacles. So where are the obstacles coming from? No one's pressing their delete button. They keep carrying over the same negative feelings, emotions, circumstances, and they add on it. How it should have been. Why wasn't it like that? All of that makes it worse. But your delete button, which is your connection between you, the soul, and the Supreme, and the Divine, which is what I said earlier, what does love want from me right now? That button will change the way you're feeling about somebody in your relationship. That one button. And you don't have to go to System Restore. You don't have to go back there if you don't want to. It's up to you. If you feel that even though you might have deleted the file between you and that person or that situation, maybe you feel like, maybe I could have even done my transformation of this situation differently. Well, let me go back and see. That's fine. But just don't forget to delete it again. And when you go back a second time to delete that file, make sure this time it's a permanent delete and not one of those that can keep giving you your System Restore. Love is such a force, I tell you. If If you've ever had your first child, you remember what love feels like. If you've ever had your first love, you remember what love feels like. If you've ever had a pet or a best friend, or you bought your first bicycle or motorcycle or scooter, or your first car, or you bought your first watch, your first jewelry, your first real special outfit, that love is like that, you know. Such a transformative feeling. Just imagine if you can connect your thoughts to Source, to the one who's the ocean of love. What would that do for you? How would that change you? What do you lose to actually begin to believe you come from God and you will go back to God? And if you come from that energy, what can you not achieve? If the energy of the divine or of God is the ocean of love, what can you not do? And it's something that I'm asking myself every single day, to see what my capacity can be inside of the soul and as a personality on earth. And you don't want to thrive to allow God's energy to move through you because you're competing with anyone. Competition isn't healthy if you think you have to put down somebody else. But compete with your past accolades. Find the love in you to see, okay, now what next for me? What can be my next amazing experience that can come through this soul of mine? This soul, not this one, not that one. And when there's that love moving you, things happen. Things have a way of happening because love generates energy. It doesn't take energy from you. It gives energy to everything. So you're working on a project. It doesn't seem inspiring. Whether it's testing, developing, whatever, troubleshooting, whatever it might be. Can you put love in that project to see it thrive and grow? I'll give you a story. You ever had those days where you feel kind of yucky? You don't feel so great. No, there is no love flowing through you that day. And even to wash the dishes feels like, oh, I just can't do this. Have you ever had days where you just don't feel like you can get out the bed? Have you ever had days where you don't even feel like saying hello to the person that you're living with? You just don't. There is no love. What's happening to you at that time? You feel heavy, miserable, like you're not taking care of yourself. You're not serving yourself. Now somebody might call you out of the blue, a friend might call you, hey, you want to go a movie, or I just got a gig, or I just got an extra assignment, it can make you 50 grand by the end of the year. Would you like to come on board? Yeah, why not? Oh, you want me to come over now? Maybe your love is for money. Maybe it's for achievement. You don't know. That energy is in us. That somebody from the outside of our lives can call us in a second and say, I've got a great opportunity for you. And all of a sudden you're like, what is it? How does that switch in a second like that? How did that button get pressed? It happens. So if we are, and we are, if we're children of the divine, of God, and this is not a religious moment, I'm not proselytizing or pushing any religion on anyone today at all. But I really deeply believe this, because I live it for myself. I deeply believe that this is our time to have a very sincere, personal relationship with God. And when I use the word God, what comes to mind? Love. peace, purity, wisdom, and happiness. Hold that for a little bit in your consciousness. Whether it's Ganeshji, whether it's Durga, Krishna, Lakshmi, whoever is the deity of your choice, when you think of the Devta, think of these 5 qualities. These are the qualities you're extracting from the god or the goddess so that you can bring that energy into anything that life has to offer you. Sometimes people, when they say, it feels like almost easy to fall back into nothingness, where people just give up on themselves. I've had moments where I've given up on myself, and that means I don't want to think anything great. I don't want to do anything that helps anybody. It's all about me. I don't care about that. And then you become more and more tired. I've observed it with my own 2 eyes and my 3rd eye. When people get spiritually and physically tired, they're taking. And they're taking either from the material world, which in itself needs energy, or they're taking from human beings who themselves are tired and can't give them anymore. And that's why the connection between you, the soul, and the divine and God is essential to transform your obstacles, relationships that have some sort of an issue with your career, with your health, with your world, with your environment. How many of these sessions are you going to listen to that basically remind you how great and beautiful and wonderful and powerful and fortunate and blessed you are? How many of them do you need to keep listening to remind you of that? Maybe for the rest of our lives. But what it takes to keep using that delete button when it comes on to experiences or memories or situations that are just not loving. They're not transformative in that way. Food for thought, right? So what I'd like to do is hold a moment of pause between us and maybe just, reach out to all of you and see if there's anything touching your heart right now from some of the thoughts that I've shared with you, and if there's anything at all that you might have as a query, just raise your hand and then Shivani Ben can definitely let you in to speak with me, and I would love to hear your voice, because sometimes I like the back and forth a lot too. The relationship part is really important to me. But have I made sense with what I've been sharing with you? Because I'm processing it too myself, there's such a big chunk of love in me, and there's God's love that I use a lot because I don't think I have enough. And if I'm not in touch with the energy of the divine, with God, it's like whatever I give to you, I'm going to expect something back, because it's coming from my treasure store, not from the divine, not from His. But I've found that whenever it comes from Source, I'm not wanting anything from you. I'm just going to keep bestowing. I'll be okay. So there's a percentage, There's always that percentage that's still overdue that one has to fulfill. And I like in the teachings of Raj Yoga how consistent the teachings are. It's from the morning you wake up, there's an awareness on the self, and then there's a study in the morning. Then there's a pause every hour on the hour called traffic control. There's an awareness of the food that I eat affects my mind. There's a focus on the way I treat my relationships, the way I carry myself. I should be fresh, clean, for me, not for you. It helps you too, it serves you, but I want to do this for me. I want to be clean and fresh and vibrant and clear for me. And then everyone benefits from taking care of the self spiritually. So I just wanted to see if anybody had any thoughts that they'd like to share, or a question, a comment.
I request any participant, if you have any question, query, or you need any clarification from Sister Jenna related to today's topic, you can unmute yourself and you can ask her directly, or you can type your question in the chat box. We will ask her.
So maybe I've answered everyone's question in their hearts through the sharing. If I have, then you can press your raise hands. You know, sometimes you hear certain sharings and you're like, how did she know I was going through that? That's what's happening to me, you know, and these things emerge. But I hope that there's somebody there that whatever the touchings were of today's discussion and conversation, that you felt like there's a tool that you can use. Remember, every decision you make, it's connected to something that you believe will make you more powerful. We don't make decisions to make us powerless, to make us bankrupt, to put us in hell. But sometimes we do. We make decisions that seems to complicate things because the motive and the intention isn't clear to us. And as a result of the motive and the intention not being clear, then that vibration spreads in the decision and it manifests some kind of an obstacle. And then we look at all the things that we need to do to try to find reason and understanding or information or space or time in order to fix it. It's a work in progress for all of us, every single one of us. I don't care how great of a guru you are, I don't care how great of a president you are or how rich you are, to the poorest person cleaning the streets. Everyone is going through something. And everybody needs that space and that time and understanding in order to break through it. And what greater button to use than your button of love that will delete the energies of thought from your past that is creating your obstacles. I've had this long overdue challenge in a relationship, and it's not that I've done anything or I've put anything in this relationship to make it not work, but I had realized that, let's say if you're working in a team dynamics, or you're in the same company on the same floor, if you seem to be outshining or really doing well because you're putting more in, or maybe all your karmas are coming together and things are just really working for you, and it's just, you're making things work for the company and it's going dramatically well. But the team didn't have a part to play in it. You do. You'll find that in the team, they don't want you to thrive. It's like they're scared of letting you go. They don't want you to become bigger than the circle of the team. So how do you handle that? You have to handle that with love and your own self-esteem and self-worth. Because in groups, in tribes, in teams, if one person starts to outdo the whole team and the whole group, the tendency for them is to pull you back because you're not supposed to. We are a we culture. And so there is sometimes a challenge with that, because sometimes when you're on your own, you go faster. But if you fall, are there people to pick you up? Sometimes in the group dimension or the team dimension, sometimes someone will come to your aid. So it's a balancing act. But if you put love in all of these areas of your life, I wonder, would they all just work out just right? And I suspect that they would. And even with my situation with a relationship for a long time, it's that I actually haven't put a lot of energy in it. I felt like I don't need to. But when I have to deal with that person, then I see that there's still a residue. Things there in this relationship, and I go, what does love want from me here? And little by little, I keep feeding this vibration until this negative vibration leaves my system. So I offer you that too, as a technique. All right, anything in the chat?
Yes, there's one question from, one second. There's one question from Sister Sarita. She says, hi, Sister Jenna. How can you dream without fear? Can you discuss about that?
I think that your dream is connected to your vision, right? And the vision is already recorded in your personality. And so what happens, I would invite everybody to surrender and trust that dream and that vision, because the feeling is that it will just keep pushing you forward. It's like your dream and your vision actually doesn't push you, it pulls you forward. So you'll feel compelled to do that, to make it happen, to invest in it. But the fear, even though sometimes the fear is good, the fear comes with maybe a lack of belief in yourself, self-doubt, maybe low self-esteem, no respect for the self, whatever it might be. It depends on how you use the fear, Savita. You can use the fear to push you down, because the fear is coming from past disappointments, past losses, and it pushes you back so you feel the struggle. Or you can take that fear, identify it for what it is, and use it to your advantage and say, no, I can see it. I know this is what my destiny is. I know what my dream is trying to call me to do. And the things will start to show up, and automatically you'll start to feel no matter what you go through, it's going to happen for you. That dream is connected to your vision. And that's something for me, I think, is pre-recorded in you. And there's nothing you can do to stop it. It's just going to take you. So dream and vision pulls you forward. Fear push you back. You decide, what energy do you want to feed? You know the story about those wolves, right? The granddaughter and the grandmother is having a conversation. And the grandmother tells the granddaughter that you're going to bump into two wolves. One's very inspiring, creative, loving, and kind. And the other one's very arrogant and mean and selfish. And you're going to walk with one of those wolves. And the granddaughter asks the grandmother, which one, Grandma? And she says, the one you feed the most. So what do you want to feed? Your dreams or your fears? It's entirely up to you.
Thank you, sister. I hope, Sarita Ben, you got a convincing answer to your question.
Well, I'm happy that she outlined the tagline of our talk, but it was also inside of the talk of what I was sharing about the dream and the fear, because it's all in what I said, really. If you can't delete your past, which is where your fears are, then you're going to stay where you always have been. But you're going to sit on the couch, or you're going to look at social media, and you're going to desire for more. And you're going to ask yourself, why don't you have more? Because you're not aware of what fears you're still holding. I'm not good enough. The fear of, well, look at what they have and I don't have it. Or I don't have this chance that you have. All of that is a waste of time. Pull your energy from God's light and then watch the magic. Watch the dream get fulfilled. Don't look at other people. Look at the energy of the divine, and keep having deep conversations with God every day, privately, and watch your wonder take place. Watch your dreams come true. in ways that you would have never imagined. That's, of course, if it's recorded, but also depends on what you want. Not all of us want anything big. Some of us just want a comfortable, happy, easy life. I do. I would love that too. So it just depends. Depends on what it is that you need and what you want.
Yeah. Sister, there's one more question from Brother Anil Kumar. He says, if we have a good relationship with anyone and due to a few reasons we end up the relationship with them, then can we restore the love at all after all the disputes and bad discussions?
It has to do with that question that I presented earlier. You ask yourself, when you emerge that relationship in your mind, Anil Bhai, what does love want from me in this friendship? And every time you will come forward and you wouldn't bring whatever was the mistake that was done between you and that other person, and everything will feel like it doesn't matter anymore. In the animal kingdom, they survive, right? And even if anything does anyone to anyone in the animal kingdom, they don't walk around in the same kingdom and look at the other animal and go, because you did that to me, I'm not talking to you. They just have this way of forgetting and moving on. And again, I go back to our delete button. Forget and move on. I believe you can restore any relationship that is destined to be restored. But also, there are some relationships in which the contract between you and that soul is done. And move on. Whether it's going to be through death, through deception, through some misunderstanding, the contract is over. And if we can recognize that for what it's worth, we won't waste too much time in negative thinking or wasteful thinking. So any relationship can be restored. That's if you want it to, and if it means that much to you. Yeah.
Yes. Next question from Brother Narendra. He says, few team members do not contribute back to teamwork, despite enjoying the benefits from team members. I try to avoid them. As per this session, how to love and continue work with them.
Very frustrating, Narendra Bhai. When you're working with a team and maybe, you feel that you're putting in a lot of the work and maybe one or two more, and then you see the others just sitting on the couch eating popcorn. And it gets like really tough. And you're like, how do I sort this through? Because for me, it's not that they're sitting there not doing anything, but they're draining energy from the team and from the system. And in my mind, it's like, oh, now I have to work 10 times harder. Because where they're concerned, they don't care that much. But where you're concerned and the few others who are with you who are concerned, you have to just serve that team and you have to go together as a team. And I feel, I don't know why, Narendra Bhai, but that's everywhere. That energy is everywhere. I've heard though, like certain organizations like OWN, like Oprah Winfrey, other shows that I've heard, they only hire the best. There's a religious leader here called T.D. Jakes, and he's got a big movement. He says he will not hire anyone who isn't smarter than him. He goes, why would I do that? I need people who are smarter than me because they can move it and thrive further. And I just thought that's so powerful to just hire people smarter than you who just can do it, And I think sometimes in these team dynamics and companies like yours and stuff, there are some who just sneak into the group. And I think maybe one of the things I would try, I don't know if it'll work fully, but to have a conversation with those that don't seem to be matching the vision and just ask them, what would you like of the team? What do you think of this project? What do you think we need to put in? And see what they say. I don't know, but that's a hard one because I've been there And everyone, I have a wonderful group of folks that we all work together in service very closely, and we do great. And the only time that I've ever seen where we're not on top of our game is if there's some misunderstanding between us. And I've watched how it kind of almost collapses everything. But then we always, we always get it back on straight, because we know the project or the vision of the task is bigger than our limits. But when that person in the team, just the other person outside of that, other team members who are just, whatever, I'll just put a little bit in and then they're getting all the praise. It's like, gosh. Sometimes I'll call them up. It depends. Like, let's say you got the project done, everyone is like, oh, and everyone was great. And then they turn to the one who did the least and said, oh, and Mary, you were so good. You're like, Mary? Mary was sitting on the couch the whole time. She barely even punched a button. And then you move on. It could sometimes be a little highlight and a little trigger. It just depends on how you say it and in what consciousness. But I think my only answer for you is you just have to leave it alone. And it's everywhere. And for me, when I'm with people who are unmotivated, it's hard for me because I have to try harder. And I feel like it's not fair. And yet, because I seem to be the only one that has to do it, then I just say I have to do it. It's my karma. But deep down in the back of my mind, I keep thinking, what vibration do I need to create to attract a different setting? And so I work on that quietly with the expectation or the hope that something will turn around and be better. So that's my answer, Narendra. Good luck. And maybe it's their karma, no. Maybe they're just supposed to sit there and chill and reap the benefits because they've done work of the past. I don't know. I don't know. But for the life of me, I don't know why there's always someone or a group of people in a team that feels like they don't need to do much. I have no idea what they're representing inside of us yet. To be continued on that one. Good luck, though.
True. Very well said, sister. And I'm sure Narendra Bhai has got the answer. And he says, I built a team with team members better than me. I lost my position and I had to change my company. I did love all and still do. Learned my lessons from it.
Yeah. You see, and that's the thing, Narendra Bhai. Here you're putting so much in, but then the other team members weren't, and you don't know where the hole was in the company. And then you lost it. And then you get blamed while the other members who were like not invested are moving on to some other place to take again. And so it's as if I think they come into our lives, I don't know, to give us some kind of a self-check or to amplify the power of your fortress or the power that you have to keep acquiring in your fortress. It must be something significant, but look at the drama. There are angels and there are souls that might not ever want to be an angel. And both of them are on the same scene. Last story. In America, we have the Empire State Building. Every year we used to go to New York for New Year's Eve. On the ground floor, you see the yellow taxis, the shop fronts, windows, the department stores, people walking. You smell the grime and the dirt of New York City, and you look at all the faces. You can see everything around on the ground floor. You go up in the elevator and you go to the top of the Empire State Building. It's the same building, same structure. You have a completely different scene. You don't see those yellow cabs. You don't smell that sound. You don't hear all that noise. But you have a different perception of how to see things. And I think with spiritual empowerment, when you practice like, say, Raj Yoga, for example, and you stay consistent in your spiritual practice, you raise your vision of yourself, you raise your consciousness, you raise your vibrations. And then you start to see things differently, and things start to change around you, and it becomes a lot more easier than it was when you were on the ground floor. So again, raise your energy, and perhaps from that dimension, it will be a little different. I'm still working on it. I haven't gotten there yet, but I know that's the answer. I think the only thing that happens is we go back a little bit. We go back to old consciousness, and that reduces the potency of that raised vibration that we could have been sustaining instead. So again, this whole practice of meditation, love, dreaming, keeping your vision clear, not getting distracted by other people and things, and says, don't waste your energy. Just keep going. Just keep thriving. You can have a million distractions. I have a lot of them. Half of them is nothing that I want. Half of the distractions, if not more, that are around me, is nothing I want. It's of no interest to me. But they are around me. And for the life of me, I have no idea why. But they are. And I keep working on raising my vibrations so that I can feel the comfort of being in spaces and relationships with people that I can have intellectual, strong conversation with, that I can have creative ideas with, people who can move my creative ideas forward, and we thrive together, and we're just into this forward thinking. So I keep creating that energy in me quietly, and I'm just waiting to see how all of that will just manifest and become a reality, because I know it's in the power of thought and it's in the power of love.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, sister, for these wonderful thoughts. And I'm sure all the participants have really benefited through your words of wisdom, which was coming from a lot of experience. And now is the time to experience meditation for a while. So we will watch a video which Sister Jenna would be playing for us, after which we can have the feedback form.
So the Vibrations of Love video was a video I produced with Grammy Award winner Ricky Cage. He's in Bangalore, India. And so it has a lot of nice fusion as well as nice thoughts. So I hope you'll enjoy it.
We took some polling for the session, today's session. It's 100%.
Vibrations of love. And some say love is a verb. But much deeper than that, love is a vibration. It is that energy that stirs the soul and opens up the heart. Vibrations of love call out to the divine that connects us with the beauty of life and the oneness of it all. I need not to say it with words, although It is always nice to hear, but greater still is to feel it. Vibrations of love lift me higher, and I fill the empty spaces within the soul. It is the divine in its purest essence. It is me at the height of my being. I am vibrations of love. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. It was lovely watching. Yes.
Yeah.
Please
Thank
go
you,
on.
Shivani Ben. Thank you for, putting this together and on such a special day for us here in the US. And thanks to all of you who took the time to listen and to be present, and hopefully it will be useful for you, especially at a time of need. Maybe right now it's fluff, maybe it did impact some area of your life, but please take a note down or two, put it on your screen, ruminate over it, think about it, churn it. I guarantee it, it'll create a shift for you. Love is the greatest force really there is. So thanks, Shivani Ben.
It's a pleasure to listen to you, sister, always. And thank you for making time and sharing your valuable thoughts. It is highly appreciated. We got 100%, 100% of voting for this session, which never happened in the past, which means everybody loved the thoughts shared by you. And a quick announcement that today's session was recorded and you can watch it on YouTube in our channel, YouTube channel as well. And we can share the YouTube link of today's session with you. Yeah, it's there in the chat box. You can always go back and refer to the important points if at all you wish to, and you can share it with your friends and colleagues as well. And if you wish to join our WhatsApp group, which sends daily messages, food for thoughts, that is also welcome. Can someone put my number in the chat box, WhatsApp number, so that people can make note of it, and you can take note of this number. You can write to me that you wish to join the WhatsApp group, and yes, it's there on the screen. You can also share your feedback by scanning the QR code here. Your feedback is really important to us because we get to know how do you find our sessions and where we can improve. So if you could please take a quick look at the feedback form and fill in and send it to us, that will be really great. And it was a wonderful session overall today. Thank you all for joining. Lovely having you all, and looking forward to see you in the next second Saturday retreat next month. Till then,